fishy folks, and welcome back to Michael's Fishing. Today, episode 2 of Don't Overthink It. Grab yourself a healthy snack and a beverage, perhaps some real Canadian maple syrup to dip your French toast sticks in, and stand by. Welcome back to the channel, fishy folks. My name is Michael from michaelsfishing.com. I have about 40 years on and off in this hobby. I run michaelsfishing.com, where you can buy fish that I breed or import, and I keep in my fish room. I have about 60 breeding for profit tanks. I breed cories and angelfish and guppies, plecos, rams, whatever. So I have a little bit of experience. I know a little bit, but I'm not the brightest guy in the world. I'm just a funny, handsome, dumb guy with a camera, to be honest. But what I'm going to explain to you, hopefully in a way that you can understand, is simple aquarium knowledge. All right, so pH. What is pH? Well, pH is how acidic your water is. And the scale, on the scale, 7 is neutral. The lower the number, the more acidic. The higher the number, the more base. A couple things we need to know. A pH of 6 is 10 times more acidic than a pH of 7. Now that scale, it's a log scale, it's not linear, so you can't really say a pH of 6.8 is 2 times as acidic as a pH of 7, but you get my drift. That said, the questions we see on social media are things like, how do I raise my pH? How do I lower my pH? How do I maintain a stable pH? My pH changes from the tap, and these are all things I'm going to try to answer. First of all, how do you raise or lower a pH? You don't. You just shouldn't. A stable pH is way better on the fish than a pH that fluctuates, even a little bit. I'm going to give you 2 tips and tricks on how to adjust your pH a little bit at the end, but you really shouldn't jack with your pH, because a stable pH is way better for the fish than a pH that fluctuates. So when you walk into a big box store, you look online at a website, like michaelsfishing.com, to buy fish, there should be a little chart of what the fish likes. As an example, a temperature of 75 to 82, a pH of 6.5 to 8, whatever it might be. Unless you're buying wild caught fish, I would not really pay much attention to those numbers, because captive bred or tank raised, whatever you want to call it, fish that you breed in whatever water you have, are going to be more hardy and have a wider range of water parameters that they can thrive in. And again, not the brightest guy in the world, but I do it in my fish room. My pH right now in my fish room for the past year and a half has been about 6.8. Guppies really, they say, should be 7 to 8, the higher the better. Well, yeah, maybe. But I can breed the hell out of guppies in my 6.8 water, because every guppy in the hobby is tank raised. None of them are wild, because none of them look like this in the wild. It's a whole nother story. So if you go to the fish store and you look at some fish and go, wow, I am stuck on you, babe. I have to have you. And then you look at that little card and it says pH 6 to 6.5, and you have a pH of 8, you probably should stay away from that fish. But if your pH is 7, 7.4, I'd probably go for it, because that's for wild caught fish. And if you're an amateur, a newbie, a noob, a rookie, whatever you want to call yourself, if you're new to the hobby and don't have a really good grasp of water parameters or water chemistry or any of that, you're not going to want to buy a wild caught fish, because you'll kill it. Sorry to be blunt, Gen X, you know how it is. We don't sugarcoat anything. But you'll probably kill it, because they're much more difficult than tank raised fish to keep. Wild caught I'm talking about. So, if you see a wild caught fish, stay away from it. But a tank raised fish with one of those cards, those numbers are typically what they thrive in the wild. But unless it's a wild caught fish, I wouldn't really worry about it. I would stay away from, a large difference. Like I said, 6. If this fish likes 6 and your water is 8, I'd stay away from that. But if this fish likes 6.2 and you have 7.2, I would probably try it. All right, so maintaining pH. If the water that comes out of your tap, let's say it comes out at 7.5, and you let that sit overnight, it gets down to 6.5, your water company is probably adding things to the water to change it. I would consider your water 6.5, because after it sits, it drops a full point. That's a problem, especially if you're going to be doing water changes with that water. You're going to have to think about some things, like maybe letting that water sit overnight with an air stone to see if the pH will stabilize. Again, a stable pH is way better than a pH that fluctuates. So if you have a pH that's higher or lower and you want to change it, I don't recommend it, but if you want small changes for whatever reason, breeding or whatever, here are the two ways I recommend. To lower your pH just a little, I recommend botanicals. Now I get all mine from KJE Aquatics, who's up in northern New York, on the way to Canada if you were driving there. And if you wanted to raise your pH, I would use crushed coral. You could put a little bag in the sump or in the back of the tank or in the filter. You could use it as substrate. Both of those methods will change the pH slightly and slowly over time, and also be able to maintain that change longer than any chemical you're going to add. Whatever you do, I highly recommend not adding any of those pH up or pH down chemicals, because it always ends in failure. Again, a stable pH is way better than messing with the pH. So here's the thing, folks. If you just want a fish tank that you could just sit down in your chair, let your hair down, and look at your fish, don't overthink it. You don't want to have to worry about all that. Many things in this hobby are simple. Don't overthink pH, folks. Guys, if you happen to see an octopus and have to go, it's okay. But if you don't see an octopus, hopefully you stay and watch more videos. See ya. I would stay away from big, Welcome back to the channel, fishy folks. I know what you're thinking. Does he think real maple syrup is a beverage? I mean, if you're in Canada, it might be, but whatever. So, a lot of the things that I see online, on social media, this is stupid. This will be a great freaking blooper, though, because I'm an idiot. I make these dumb videos. Been doing it a while. I don't know. I've got about 900 videos or so. I don't really know how many videos I have. Wait, hold on. Yeah. Everything I tell you, I've done, and if I haven't done, I'm gonna tell you I haven't done it. And why are we going into this? We shouldn't. Doesn't even a difference than the number above it, right? You can't do that. I don't know what I'm saying. Actually, halfway from here. He's actually not in Buffalo. I'm an idiot. Hardness, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about pH in this video, and I have no idea what I'm talking about. Welcome back to the channel, fishy folks. My name is Michael from Michael's Fish Room. I do have, you know, about 60 million for profit tanks in my fish room. I do import guppies and plecos and cories as well. I don't import plecos. That's dumb. Welcome back to the channel, fishy folks. Today we're going to be talking about pH. Don't overthink pH. All right, let's talk about pH. The pH scale is, you know, 0 to 14, 7 being nothing. And I have hard water or high pH. What do I do? Hard water or soft water is not pH. You're an idiot. If you like African cichlids, you probably should look for, oh Jesus.